Hi guys, so this is part 2 of the Gibson R9 versus the Huber Orca 59. As I said in the last video, these are reasonably similar price guitars. My R9 cost 5 or 5.5 grand. These Huber 59s can go, I think, between about 7 and 10 grand, depending on the spec and the maple top and things like that. I'm not sure what this one cost. I think Martin bought this secondhand. So if you didn't watch the first part, a viewer has lent me a few bits of gear that I'll be talking about over the next couple of weeks, and this was a really exciting one to be able to borrow off someone and a perfect thing to compare to the Gibson R9. Now, I said in the first video they're slightly different looking, so if you want to hear me talk about that and what I think about that, then please go and watch video number 1 first, where I then play them through a Bartel Roseland amp with a few different settings. In this video I'm going to play them through the Matchless HC30. I said I was going to do a 3-part series. This is actually going to be 4 parts. I'm going to split this one and the one with the Rift Ainsley Lister into 2 videos because I played a bit more on the Matchless than I expected. I enjoyed it so much. So really, I'm just going to show you the settings of the amp, and then I've cut bits of each guitar and put them next to each other, and I'll talk a little bit between each set. I haven't played exactly the same thing on each guitar, but similar. I always let the guitar and the amp take me where it's going to take me. And quite often that means you'll get similar things but not exactly the same as each other. So let's get going. In this one I hear a lot more difference between the pickups and the feeling between the way they play. So let's just start listening and I'll talk you through as we go along. Okay, in this first clip I play a bit with my fingers, and for the first time I hear such a significant difference between the sets of pickups and the guitars. The 59, no, I'm going to call the Gibson the R9 and the Orca the Orca. The R9 is much more shrill at the top end. Listening back now, and when I played, you know, it occurred to me that actually it's quite ice picky, and I've generally enjoyed that because I think it gives a certain character that I enjoy. The Orca pickups are much more rolled off at the top, and it's really pleasing to listen to. So I think from an audience standpoint and a recording thing, the Orca just has a more pleasing top end. Now that doesn't mean I would always choose that. I like the R9, I like my particular R9, I like how percussive it is, and it has a completely different sustain, which we'll talk about in a minute or two. Let's hear a little bit more. Okay, I'm starting to think that, yeah, this Orca has definitely got something to it. I texted Martin when I just finished playing this set of demos. I was like, I think I just had the first bonding moment with the Orca. I wasn't, at the beginning when you first pick up a new guitar and you're comparing it to one of your own ones, you obviously favour your own one. But in this case, the Orca is quite different and it's giving me a different feeling to play. Again, the R9 is much more shrill in this case. And actually, in comparison, it starts to feel like it's a little bit much. I remember when Ainsley Lister played my R9 and those vintage Les Pauls, which we made a video about. And he was saying the pickups in my R9 are like sledgehammers. They're really quite brutal. And I enjoyed that because it gives me a lot of percussiveness, which when I play with my hands, I enjoy that a lot. But this has a lot more creaminess and a less nasal quality as well to the whole sound. It's more open. So, yeah, quite taken with the Orca at this moment. Let's carry on listening. obviously I played quite different things in those two different clips, but what I get from that again is more ice pickiness from the R9 and more from the Orca of that saturation and the harmonic edges that bleed into the notes as you go along. It's definitely got a more cohesive sort of mid-range, whereas the R9, it's spikier, and in a way the dynamic is completely different. When you hit the R9, it peaks really quickly. You can see that actually on the editing software as well. It's very percussive and very instant, and the Orca takes the note and it sort of spreads it a bit further. So yeah, completely different sounding guitars, and I dare say they'd be useful for different things as well. At the moment, you know, if Martin said, well, you can give me back the Orca or you can give me the R9 and keep the Orca, I'd have a really tough decision. I'd have to spend a couple of weeks playing these, you know, in lots of different ways. But at the moment, yeah, the Orca has definitely caught up since that first video. I can start to see what sort of instrument it is. We've got one more little bit of playing here, and yeah, let's see what it sounds like. So I guess really the Orca actually does have more dynamics than the R9, and the way I came to that conclusion is when I play with my fingers, the Orca doesn't have the spikiness that the R9 still can have when I play with my fingers. But when I play with a plectrum, they can both be a lot more spiky. So the Orca can go down, you know, you can be more dynamic with your fingers really. So that's strengths and weaknesses when it comes to the R9. What I like about the R9 for me, it's the connection I have with the instrument and the idea of it. You know, my favorite player's Jimmy Page. So, you know, it's difficult for me to consider a different Les Paul type instrument. So, especially when it comes to bursts. But yeah, I'm really excited to now play with the Ainsley Lister, the Rift Ainsley Lister. And because I love that amp with Les Pauls, absolutely my favorite amp for Les Pauls. So the next video, we're going to do that. Again, I'm not going to give you my full conclusions yet, but in the next video, I'm going to talk a little bit more about how the necks feel to play and some other physical parts of the guitar as well. So yeah, hopefully you tune in for that one. I'll mention this in every video, as I normally do, giveaway. When I hit 6,000 subs, if you've subscribed and commented, then you'll be in to win this Dualist pedal by Kingtone. It's a blues breaker and a tube screamer put together with lots of clever little switches and things like that. Fantastic pedal. I've got a newer version, so I'm giving this one away. So yeah, enter that, and see you on the next one. Cheers.